Hi, NARC troopers. Today, I would like to talk to you about um, your recovery journey and about where that's taking you and why it's taking so long. And, you've heard a lot of people perhaps um, saying that they are victims of narcissistic abuse and all of this kind of stuff, which I just want to clarify the terminology there. Technically, you have been victimized. You have suffered narcissistic abuse, but you're not a victim. And I want to caution you about claiming that as your identity, because that's very dangerous and it's going to impede your ability to ever get over this if you see yourself that way, like, that you're a victim. So what do we do to reframe that a little bit, I think? And I think the first thing is accountability on our part and honest self-reflection. I would venture to say it's likely, probable, and probably if you have gotten tangled up with a narcissist and you have stayed with a person who's truly disordered, truly malignantly, pathologically has NPD, and you stayed in it for a really long time. I stayed for 15 years, and it wasn't because I was stupid. It wasn't because I was weak. I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that I had a similar trauma, complex trauma in my early years, just as my husband with NPD had trauma in his early years. So we had that in common, this early thing. And I want to caution here again that using that word recklessly, saying everybody has trauma, everybody's having a trigger, everybody's a narcissist, it diminishes the gravity of this, of what this actually is. It's a mental health illness, narcissism, sociopathy, pathology. It is a mental illness, a profound one that's marked by delusions and fantasy worlds that, losing touch with reality and manufacturing your own version, creating this confabulation and of like this make-believe person that you are not, this false persona. These things are not neurotypical behaviors. These things are not just everybody's a little bit narcissistic. Yes, that's true. All of us are a little bit narcissistic, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking the people that are on the deep end of that spectrum. They are clearly, without question, they're pathologically impaired, and their whole functionality as a human being is impaired because they cannot feel empathy, at least not emotional empathy. Perhaps they can feel cold empathy, where they recognize what they're supposed to feel, but they don't know what it feels like. And they can't genuinely experience that emotion because it's just, it's not in their wheelhouse. So, there are a lot of things that define them, a lack of conscience, a lack of morals, being totally, disconnected from reality, the gaslighting, the cognitive dissonance, and all of this. And let me say about gaslighting, a true narcissist does not gaslight. That's something that technically a psychopath does. They know that they are lying and deceiving. They know coldly and calculatingly that they are exploiting and manipulating their victim to be able to get what they want because they're goal-oriented. But the narcissist, covert, overt, somatic, cerebral, high range, mid-range, low range, all the different kinds, all lumped together. Narcissists don't gaslight because They believe their own fantasies. They believe their own manufactured reality that they have created. They believe it. When they think they're in love with you, they think they're really in love with you because they have idealized you. They have snapshotted an imaginary version of you and internalized it into their head, so that they're interacting with some paper doll figure that's two-dimensional or one-dimensional. It's not you. It's not real. They never see you or hear you. You think they do because they're mirroring you and parroting you and reflecting back what you're showing to them. But as far as like genuine empathy, compassion, mercy, any of those things, any positive emotion, love, and stuff like that, they don't know what that is. And they're threatened by it. When you are like, oh, I love you so much unconditionally, and I forgive you all the time for all the crazy effed up stuff that you do. Every time you do that, that's not an admirable quality, because they don't believe in the whole concept of love. To them, that is a very dangerous place to go. It's not a real thing. And whenever they have gone into that territory, they have been injured tremendously. There has been great harm and suffering that has fallen on them. And so they don't even believe that that's a thing. So when you do all of that, they're either thinking that you're trying to play them because you're some kind of manipulative psychopath and that you're crazy, or they think that you're just stupid and weak and codependent and messed up, and that you can't know any better or do any better because you're such a wreck, such a train wreck of a person. That's what they think of your ooey gooey yummy, I love you no matter what, I forgive you no matter what, I'm in this till the wheels come off, ride or die till the end. They don't care about any of that. They don't get it. They don't understand that. They don't perceive that the way you do. They don't play by the same rule book. So back to my original thing that I was trying to get to today. The narcissist, the one with pathological, malignant narcissism on the deep end of the spectrum, to the point where they are functionally impaired and cannot be real human beings because they're empty and they're absent on the inside. Those guys, there's no changing them. There's no helping them. There's no talking any kind of truth to them. They don't want the truth. They don't want love. I just explained to you how they perceive love. You're either crazy or weak, but it's not even like a real thing that they can experience or feel for someone or receive from someone. So give it up, everybody. It ain't happening. And you're wasting valuable, valuable time thinking that if you just keep trying long enough, you can. So here's my message. I right now have more than one client that I am working with as a recovery facilitator. I do some sessions with different people who contact me, and they email me and they say, hey, I'm going through all this stuff, can you help me? And so I think I've got quite a bit of tools in my toolbox and a very deep understanding of what this is. So yes, I agree to do that. And listening to some of them talk about this, they'll say things like this. They'll say, I don't know why, I can't seem to get them out of my head, and I still have contact with them because fill in the blank with some excuse, right? There's some reason that you still have to have contact with them. And I think there's always a way around that so that you do not have to hear their voice or see their face, because if you do either of those two things, it's going to set you back to the beginning. You're never, ever going to get over this. You're going to suffer and crave them and be crazy forever. If you just don't, you got to just leave it alone, step away. So they go on to say, I don't understand why they said such and such when I saw them. And my head's exploding thinking, what do you mean when you saw them? What do you mean that you saw them? Why did you see them? Why was that necessary that you see them? But I put my therapist hat on and tried to come up with a better response. so that I'm not being reactionary, and I want to couch what I have to say into some way that they can receive it. Kind of like putting the peanut butter on the little pill from the vet that you give to the dog, or like wrapping it sticking the pill in a wiener and giving that to your dog. You got to do that with people. You've got to like couch it. You've got to like put that little nugget of truth inside something yummy and give that to them so that they can digest it and swallow it and get it down. Because if you just plop it down there and say, take this, here you go, this is it, they're not going to want that, and they're not going to swallow it. They're not going to accept it. And so anyway, so they say, what does that mean when they said such and such? And I try to direct them to say that it doesn't matter trying to figure out what they meant. That's not the question we need to ask, because trying to analyze that and dissect it and read things into it is like an obsession for people that are in this boat that is beat up. It's got holes, it's leaking, water's shooting up, like on the cartoons, with the hole in the boat and the water's like psh, psh, straight, and you're sinking. You're in this beat up, broken, busted up boat, right? And instead of figuring out, oh my gosh, I need to patch some of these holes for temporary to stay afloat, and then I've got to figure out how to sort of like refurbish them and to get like new pieces of boat, pieces of wood, or whatever, steel, metal, iron, to put in this place where I'm patching it for now to make it super strong, to fortify it so it's never going to pop a leak again. It's never going to, burst at the seams and take on water. It's going to be a sturdy vessel. That's what you need to be thinking about at a time like this during recovery, not dissecting, well, what did they mean when they said so and so? Do you think this? Do you think this could be because of blah, blah, blah? And it's like, no. You don't need to ask that question. What you need to do is ask yourself, why am I still talking to this person? Why am I still seeing this person? Why is there that interaction happening at all? And why am I so fixed on something that is nonsensical? It's irrational, it's delusional, it's psychotic, it's schizoid, it's all these things, and none of them are things that you will ever make sense of. This is something you will never have closure with. You just have to accept that. They're not capable of giving you that. You're asking to make sense out of something that is not sensible. And you're asking for closure from a person who can never give that to you. They don't have it. They don't have it. You're asking for someone to give you something they don't have. It's like walking into a butcher shop and saying, I would like a piece of chocolate pie. Probably they're not going to have chocolate pie with all the dead meat hanging around, and they're wanting to say, can I slice you off a chunk of this prime rib, or of this whatever it is. I don't eat mammals, so I don't know what's in a butcher shop, but you get the picture. You go in there, you can expect to get meat. You can expect to buy, things that you can roast or barbecue or something. You're not going to go in there and ask for chocolate pie or German chocolate cake, or you're not going to go in there and ask for, a new carburetor for your car. And that's exactly what you're doing when you keep revisiting conversations that you've had with this disordered person. They don't have it together enough for anything to make sense. Why would you possibly think that you can make sense of something that is all just a fabrication and a lie and smoke and mirrors for them? It's not real. You can't make sense of something that's not real. So these conversations keep coming back, and I will say all of this. I'll give them my cute little analogies. I will explain to them that, you're chasing something. You're chasing something that's ephemeral, that's out of reach, that's impossible. You can't ever grab this thing and lasso it and hold it down and do something with it. You can't. It's just like smoke you're grabbing at. I go through all that, and as soon as I take a breath and say, So, what do you think about that? What could be next steps, knowing that it is not a good use of your energy and time to fixate on trying to make sense of something that is not real? And sure enough, as soon as I just pause for a moment, you know what they do? But he said, but she said that that they felt, upset that they had done blah blah blah, and we're right back to it. We're right back to it. This is the broken brain of a person who has been victimized. Notice, I did not say they were a victim. No. This is the broken brain of a person who's been victimized by years of narcissistic abuse and conditioning and entrainment. Look that one up. Entrainment. It's something that they do to you to like jack you up so that you can't think and you're just over here drooling on yourself. What did they mean? What did they mean? Doing that, right? You got to stop it. And I know that that's so hard. I fail sometimes. It's been 4.5 years, and to this day, there are some days where I am thinking illogically about this. I am thinking like an addict, a person who's addicted to the narcissist, right? I get that. It's like, here's another analogy for you. It's like drug addiction or alcoholism or some other kind of addiction like that. It's just like that. Letting go of these people and trying to recover from relationships with these people because you become addicted. It's not, I heard Dr. Vaknin say this. I love this guy. He has all the right words and ideas and the research to back it up. And if you want to really have a deep understanding of this, you got to listen to him every single day. Listen to one of his lectures every single day. Never skip a day. Do it every day. I have listened to him every single day when I'm on vacation, when I'm visiting people, when I'm sick, when I'm whatever. I listen to him every day. He's got thousands of lectures in his library explaining everything you could ever want to know about this. And once you really understand the futility and the hopelessness of trying to make sense of this, you're going to start spending more time trying to separate yourself and get sober from that. And he, what he calls it, he doesn't call it trauma bonding. It's not a bond. That's kind of, sort of, I guess, an okay descriptor. It's more like trauma addiction. That intermittent reinforcement fires up all those chemicals and gives you a dopamine hit when they do something great following great pain they've caused you. Torturers use this. They've been trained. How do you torture people? You go to torture school, and in torture school where they're teaching you how to torture people, one of the ways they tell you how to do it, guess what? Be torturing them, causing horrible, indescribable pain that they think they're going to die, and then stop. Give them a candy bar. Give them a nice meal. Let them take a shower. Give them a break. Do something really sweet, something really nice, something that feels really good, and that relief and all of the, niceness of a nice meal and a nice shower just floods their body with all of these chemicals that are just delicious, yummy, like I'm safe. Oh my gosh, yes, I've hit the trifecta. And then bam, right when they start feeling better, you hit them with another round of torture. And that, my friends, is what narcissistic abuse is. It's trauma addiction. You become addicted to the chemicals that are the relief. The torture has stopped. This is really good. Oh my gosh, it's intensely pleasurable. And then bam, they just do something horrible, physical abuse, emotional abuse, spiritual, financial, energetic abuse, like with your energy systems and all of that kind of stuff. I mean, that's what it is. Just think about that. Take that. That's a nugget of wisdom. I didn't even have to wrap it in a wiener or peanut butter or anything. Just take it. Take it and swallow it. So that's what I wanted to tell you today. I feel for people, myself included, for those days where I relapse and I just cannot grab it and pull it back in and hold on to any kind of agency or control over my addiction that makes me think, oh, that was just, whatever, and start thinking about things in a way that's not really accurate. These people cause enormous harm and damage. And if it's not enough to motivate you to think about what they did to you, then think about how that affected your friends and your family. I am willing to venture that everybody suffered, and that relationships were broken, and that they isolated you from your family and any kind of support network that you had, and that by the time it was over, you were all alone. Because that is the case 9 times out of 10. And that's a really bad place to be, alone and dealing with confusion and grief and sadness and anger and humiliation and just all of it. It's just one great big package of crap that is really hard to deal with. I get that. And, like I said, it's been almost 5 years. It's been 4.5 years, and I still struggle. Some days worse than others, but it's getting better. It's getting a lot better because I know here exactly what to do. Cognitively, I understand all the nooks and crannies and little dark corners and everything about NPD. And it's like I have a roadmap to recovery. I just need to stay on that path and follow that roadmap. I have all the tools. I do it all. But even I, who have all that, and some of you don't have the benefit of having all that, I do, and I still struggle sometimes. So you need to forgive yourself. Don't just beat yourself up and say, what a dummy I am. I'm so whatever, fill in the blank. Be kind to yourself. You're human. You want love. You probably had something unsavory, not right, happen to you early on that established some vulnerability in you to what the narcissist did coming into your life. And if it was a parent who was your narcissist in your life, just think about, oh boy, they do a number on you for sure. They script you and program you for life in a very narcissistic paradigm, like script. And so that's really tough to get over with. I think it was Dr. Romani who said, sometimes that narcissist parent has to actually pass on and cease to exist before you actually have any true freedom to become your own person and to separate and individuate from that parent who has co-opted your whole life, parentifying you, instrumentalizing you, objectifying you, all of that kind of stuff for your whole life. I have one person that I work with, she's in her 70s. And her mother only passed away a couple of years ago, and she's just now coming to life. What a joyous thing to be in your 70s and waking up and being born into a life where you get to choose. She gets to set the thermostat. She gets to determine which lights go on and off. She gets to determine how she spends her time, who she spends it with. All this, she has complete control now. So these are hard things. I don't wish that upon anybody. Oh, not even my worst enemy. And a lot of us, like, my mother was, she had other mental health issues. Pretty sure she was schizophrenic and other things, but she was pretty sure she was a narcissist, never diagnosed back in those days, back in the Stone Age. That wasn't even really a thing, but I'm pretty sure, we have a way. There's a checklist and you feel it in your gut. You know what they do to you, And so it's a lot to overcome. I get it. But, we got to be kind to ourselves, forgive ourselves when we fall down, when we have a moment where we are tempted to lose our sobriety and lose our minds temporarily. And we get right back up, dust ourselves off, get right back up and say, I'm not going to let this happen to me. I am going to move forward with my life. I'm going to take control. I'm going to create a life free of narcissism, narcissist, personality disordered, mentally ill people in my life, and I'm going to be free and happy, and I'm going to have peace, and I'm going to have joy, and I'm going to provide that for myself. I don't need to look here and look there and look over here to find it. I don't need external validation or guidance. I am perfectly capable of doing all of this for myself. I just have to practice. I just have to get some tools together. I just have to give myself some time. I have to work the steps. I got to do the things that need to be done. I have to build new habits, and I have to leave that person alone. No phone calls, no face-to-face. You don't want to hear their voice. You don't want to see them. It is a huge setback when you do, because it resets the trauma in your body. It resets the mind. It's like the alcoholic or drug addict that, they've been sober, but then they go shoot heroin in their eyeballs, or they go drink a fifth of whiskey and say, oh, it was just one time. Okay, so you did that. You don't do it again. You dust yourself off and say, okay, no more. I'm going to stay. This is day one. I'm going to get my little chip. I'm going to get my little token that says I have maintained sobriety for 30 days, for 3 months, for 6 months, for a year, for 10 years. I'm going to be that person. And I really want to see a narcissistic abuse recovery 12-step program that gives you the little coins that say, good job, and all of that, because that's exactly what we need, because that's kind of what this is. So I hope that wasn't too much to just dump out there on you. But, pink, what is it, red pill, blue pill? Which one? The one that's like just the fantasy, or the one that's reality? Reality is a bitch. It's ugly. It's messy. Look at what's happening in the world around you. I don't like it. It's hard. But reality is like when you step into the fantasy world and you take that other pill, I think is the blue one, that's not real. It's like you're already dead. It's like you're not living life. You're escaping it into some fantasy, into some delusion that is not real. And then you're no different from the narcissist, because that's how they live. That's all they're capable of. We get to choose, those of us who are not narcissists, sociopaths, or psychopaths. We get to choose. So make that choice and, get yourself together, because it's going to be hard. It will always, parts of it will always be maintaining that sobriety, maintaining that wellness, maintaining that freedom from toxic people, and learning to take care of ourselves, by ourselves, for ourselves, without the need of someone else to regulate our emotions for us. So that is my message for today. I'm making some soup with rice and miso broth, mushrooms, and coconut milk. And I probably need to put some protein in there. I'm going to go think about that. But yeah, it's time to do that. So happiness to you. And of course, I'll see you again soon. Bye.